While scientists in China are being allowed to raise tough questions about Darwin, back in Burrlington, Roger DeHart's request to show students the article about the Chinese fossils is refused. But he's in for an even greater disappointment. After 15 years of teaching biology in his district, DeHart is informed during the summer that he has been reassigned. His biology courses will be taught by someone just out of college who majored in physical education, not biology like DeHart.
Certainly, we knew that there would be people that would be concerned, people that would think we were trying to do something to Roger. But that's not why we make decisions around here.
Regardless of the reasons for DeHart's reassignment, the question still needs to be asked. Does a high school teacher have the right to present information critical of an accepted scientific theory? And just how should public schools handle a controversial issue like evolution?
A very popular American tradition is the fairness, or let's let all sides have their say, and so forth. This is a wonderful cultural tradition. It's irrelevant in science. It sounds really unfair, but it isn't the job of the high school teacher to decide that students need to be exposed to views that are on the fringe of science. I mean, the job of the high school teacher is to try to communicate the consensus view of science. Otherwise, you're really misleading those kids.
But what happens if scientists have different views? Who is to say whose views should be heard?
School districts face jeopardy if they allow the science classroom to be used as a means of religious indoctrination. But they also face jeopardy if they engage in viewpoint discrimination. The Supreme Court has been very clear that school boards have no right to remove offending viewpoints simply because they disagree with them.
Even if some scientists challenge evolution, are high school teachers and their students equipped to hear about such disagreements?
The role of a high school teacher is not to be on the cutting edge of research, and it's not doing the students any service to confuse them about some of the esoteric elements of a scientific discipline.
I find the fact that they think that freshmen aren't capable of looking at facts and looking where they lead very insulting.
I'm a little insulted if someone says that, having more than one side to a theory is going to be too complex for a high school mind.
This is Biology 101. I mean, they have kids' books on the topic. If they think that we cannot handle or we are not capable of understanding the complexities of the argument, we shouldn't be in high school.
My experience is students will rise to the occasion, and the more controversial, the more interested they'll become. Often controversy is the way to get students involved in any discipline.
The idea that the high school has to be a kind of an enlarged locker room where only the coach's pep talk is considered reasonable, that should be repugnant. That's not really how we want an educational establishment to be run, is it? Let's give high school students the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that they're a whole lot more intelligent, presentable, better dressed, better groomed, smarter, more sophisticated than they give every appearance of being.
Right now they're treated to a dogma, and when they know it's a dogma, they lose interest. So real education will take place when students are allowed to know there's a controversy in science.
The debate over how to teach evolution is likely to get more intense. As part of a landmark education law passed in 2001, Congress mandated that each state develop uniform standards for teaching science. Defenders of Darwin's theory want these standards to discourage any discussion of alternate viewpoints about evolution. But Congress encouraged states to adopt a more inclusive approach, urging that where topics are taught that may generate controversy, such as biological evolution, the curriculum should help students to understand the full range of scientific views that exist, why such topics may generate controversy, and how scientific discoveries can profoundly affect society. Congressional support for teaching both sides of the evolution debate has been bipartisan and spans the political spectrum.
So I think there are many benefits to this discussion that we hope to encourage in science classrooms across this country. And I frankly don't see any downside to this discussion. That we are standing here as the Senate in favor of intellectual freedom and open and fair discussion.
We want the children to be able to talk and speak and examine various scientific theories with the basis of all of the information that is available to them.
There are increasing signs that the public agrees that teachers should be able to present more than one view about evolution. According to a recent Zogby poll, 71% of Americans agree that biology teachers should teach Darwin's theory of evolution, but also the scientific evidence against it. Only 15% of the public think that biology teachers should teach only Darwin's theory and the scientific evidence that supports it. And in the scientific community, growing numbers of scholars are expressing doubts about Darwin's theory and calling for an open hearing for their views. More than 100 scientists, including scholars from Yale, Princeton, MIT, and the Smithsonian, signed on to a statement declaring that they were skeptical of claims for the ability of random mutation and natural selection to account for the complexity of life. Careful examination of the evidence for Darwinian theory should be encouraged. The declaration ran as an ad in the prestigious New York Review of Books. Some school districts are allowing teachers more freedom to discuss the controversy over evolution. High school biology teacher Doug Cowan has been supplementing the approved curriculum for years.
I start my unit on evolution with a statement that says we're going to teach evolution as science. We're going to show not only the confirming evidence and the support that it has in a very forceful way, but we're also going to show some of the anomalies of evolutionary theory that are bringing many scientists to doubt whether Darwin had it right in the beginning.
There's a false belief out there that it's somehow unconstitutional or against the First Amendment to allow a teacher to criticize Darwin's theory in the classroom. And that's just absolutely false.
Teaching the controversy is really striving for fairness and mutual respect when we approach a controversial issue. I think a school board that does that has the least likelihood of offending either the legal requirements or the political community in which they operate.
The call for greater openness comes too late for Roger DeHart. No longer allowed to teach biology in the Burrlington School District, DeHart resigns his position and takes a job in another district.
I've always considered myself as being a science teacher and wanting to teach accurate science. I don't have a desire to be subversive just to be subversive. I see my job as being a science educator and showing students this search for truth and what researchers have actually found.
The Scopes trial stereotype is really now exactly 180 degrees out of sync. The image of the bold, free-thinking evolutionary scientist who was trying to seek the truth, no holds barred, and he was being suppressed by religionists who were threatened by the truth of science. Now I think we have almost exactly the reverse situation.
The people who are really suffering are the students. They're the ones that are not learning the truth about the science and how it's developing. They're being held back.
We are not serving our students well by not allowing them to hear different points of view. We're not training them to be good scientists. Scientists are supposed to question things. Scientists are supposed to be open to new evidence.
I think the best thing I can do as a science educator is to get students to critically think, to be able to look at evidences given and to be able to interpret those evidences, to ask questions and to make observations.
So teach it more and teach it critically. You know, this is the exceptional area that you can't criticize this doctrine of Darwinism. It's a bad precedent.
What's the loss? What do we risk? Just what do we risk if some of the profound, exciting, deeply perplexing, vexing issues of biology are presented honestly?
Should we teach students the controversy about evolution? Absolutely. This is a controversial theory. Are we going to teach students the truth about it or not?